And welcome back, everyone, to Zanpakuto Creation Series. Today's Zanpakuto Creation Series video comes to us from, I think it's Skeleo 23, a little crazy. Actually, I think that might have been either two people or just one person with a really long name. Either way, you asked the question, what is the Zanpakuto of Groot? I am Groot. I am Groot. We are Groot. I love you guys. No, that was still... Man, Guardians 3 was so fucking good. I hesitate to say I liked it better than the second one because I think I like the second one more than the first one, but I might. I still haven't added it to the list of the Marvel movies for when I do that video, which will probably come next week because I got all next week off, and I'm going to just be playing catch up on some stuff I've been meaning to do. But anyway, Groot's a very unique case because Groot is known as a Flora Colossus. So whatever his Zanpakuto is, it's literally ingrained in who he is that he is a plant-based individual and that he grows from light from all sources. So I knew it was going to be an elemental type Zanpakuto because B was going to have to do something with plants. Now, the standard form, I think, would still be a katana like most of these things. Now, before we get into the actual name, if he were a soul reaper or whatever, it'd just be, I am Groot, releases, I am Groot. I am Groot, Bankai, I am Groot. Now, it all would be I am Groot, but in terms of what it's actually translated to, would be releases sprout and grow, young branch. Nothing serious, that would be a Wakai. Oh crap! I wrote the wrong. What is branch? Hold on. English Japanese translator. 1 second. Wakai. Young branch. Wakai Ida. Wakai Ida. Its Bankai would be ever-reaching branches, or Initodaku Ida. Again, I use Google Translate. I'm not fluent in Japanese or anything like that, so if you know how those names would actually translate, let me know. Its spirit is that of a giant tree. A giant sentient tree, but a tree that's just stuck in the ground. And its Shikai takes the form of probably something about roughly half the size of Groot, a very young, adolescent-looking tree person in the ground. In Bankai, you basically get this ever-growing, ever-reaching tree to the sun in his world, which would probably be a very lush forest, is what the personal perspective on his inner world would be. Now, the way the Shikai, I think, would work is very similar to how something like Zenbo Zakara Kageyoshi works, is that, or something that involves moving the blade in a certain fashion. Groot stabs the ground, releases the Zanpakuto. The Zanpakuto starts to morph, and giant branches, giant roots specifically come out, like they're roots of a giant tree, come out of the ground and start attacking the opponent. They can be used for just overwhelming someone, crushing them, grabbing them and crushing them, stabbing. They're very thick, so they can take a lot of damage. Groot, if he needs to, can pull the blade out, and basically just has these giant roots continually coming out of his blade. This doesn't sound like anything super impressive, especially if we've seen from other elemental Zanpakuto, like Ryujin Jaka or Hiyori Maru. But when you actually break down the concept of this blade, is actually pretty powerful, especially because Groot can just continually make these branches. And they can keep expanding for as long as Groot wants. Now, it's not as powerful as his Bankai, obviously, but it's certainly something that, as long as Groot can keep pumping spiritual energy in there, pumping Ryatsu in there, and keep manipulating the branches, it can be a very powerful ability. Especially if you're talking about someone who has, like, captain-level Ryatsu. They can be used also as a defensive barrier, creating like a wall or a dome to protect yourself, something to trap someone in, tie them up in the roots, and then seal them up. There's a lot of versatility you can have in here. Now, this would still be very much weak to fire-type Zanpakuto, high-level fire-type Zanpakuto, Engetsu or Ryujin Jaka, right on the list. Might also be weak to things like ice because of, cold snaps, all that can affect plant life. And someone with enough Ryatsu could easily overwhelm it, but it has to be the right amount of Ryatsu. Obviously, again, it's the soy phone Aizen conundrum where, hey, yeah, it would work, but I have way more Ryatsu than you, so I can just neg it. Wow, that sounded a little odd. Neg it. Anyway, So the Bankai, I think it's stabbing the blade in the ground. The roots go back in the ground. The user yells Bankai, and in essence, you're kind of creating a giant forest. And similar to the trees, the forest is at your beck and call to control. But beyond that, you can bloom things like plant life in the forest that has different effects. This, I think, is where it's a little closer to like a Keto type Zanpakuto than an Elemental type Zanpakuto. But I think it still would be qualified under maybe like a Keto Elemental subtype. In essence, it kind of would open up flowers which can produce different sorts of toxins, either make you fall asleep, make you high, literally poison you, paralyze you. And it also might have something where, because of his flora colossal nature, it has like one final ability where in the center of the forest, one giant flower is collecting sunlight at an expanse of Reiatsu and sunlight all at once, before essentially turning kind of into a giant super laser and being like the final attack of the Bankai, where it just unleashes all that power at once. So in the forest, all the flowers have different abilities, but you have the one single flower that is the Death Star laser cannon attack. This, I think, works well because the Flora Colossus nature, his species nature, is about feeding off of celestial or cosmic light, different forms of light. So just, sun radiation alone is good, but you could also be feeding off of cosmic radiation or cosmic light, the light of celestials in the Marvel Universe. So depending on the light you're getting, it could strengthen this very much. The light of another Zanpakuto, for example, could theoretically help this out a lot as well. Either way, this would still have the predominant weakness that the Shikai does against specific elemental types, particularly fire. Like Ryujin Jika would be the absolute bane of this Zanpa. You don't even have to go Zanka no Tachi. Just Ryujin Jika alone would be the absolute bane. And Getsu would not be much better either. Tobayume just isn't strong enough from what we've seen to really be a big issue. Raiga from the filler arc with the new third captain, that looked powerful enough to maybe cause some problems. But, yeah, so ultimately, this would, I think, be the ideal type of Zanpakuto for a character like Groot, who is a living plant and therefore, I think, has to kind of have a plant-based Zanpakuto on some level. This is just my opinion, though. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thanks for watching, though. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.